Hey guys, welcome back. We're getting pretty close to the pour. The pour is coming Thursday and this is Monday. So what we're trying to finish up here is these wooden packouts that I'm going to explain to you. They're serving multiple purposes in this concrete pour because instead of a 16-foot slab, we have a 6-foot and a 10-foot slab. So it's going to act as an expansion joint. It's going to act as a spacer for the pavers when we're done. And it's going to also help simplify the concrete process because I have a 12-foot screed and it's a lot easier to use it on a 10-foot opening. And my joints are also only 12-foot long. So once I put this separation in there, we could have a 10-foot concrete pour and I could just cut the control joints down to fit. And it's a lot of work to get to that point, but the benefits outweigh the hard work. So I'm just going to walk you through the process. We're actually building one of them already. We have the rest of them set around the pool and we just built 3 more. So I just wanted to explain, it's pretty simple, but it could be done multiple different ways. This is just the way I chose to do it, and I'll explain the reasons why. Starting off with a 2x6 because that's 5.5 inches. Well, I'm looking for anywhere from 5 to 6 inches of concrete. 5.5 is perfect. So I can put a little stone right up to the bottom and I still got my 5 inches. So that way concrete won't go underneath this. This will act as grade, the top of my 2x6, without any concrete going underneath where the block is going to be. So the block area, once I strip this out, is going to get filled with stone and the paver is going to sit on top of it. So I'm looking for 7 inches overall thickness because we have a 6.5 inch wide paver. That gives me a little bit of tolerance after I strip this out in case the concrete wasn't 100% perfect. In addition, I have fiber expansion joint that I'm going to nail to the outside of this, giving me a 7.5 inch overall. But the expansion joint is going to allow this form to stay in place while I prepare other stuff. And the concrete's hardening and it's going to allow us for expansion there. When I put the block in, the expansion joint is going to go back in and allow it to fill up that gap between the 6.5 inch paver and the concrete space that we left. So we're using a 2x4, which is 3.5 inches. So now we're up to 1.5 inches plus 3.5 gives you 5 inches. We put this 1/2 inch spacer there to bring us to 6. And then we have, let's see, that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that makes this 2x4, 4 inches overall. Okay, so I got 1.5 inches plus 4 inches, gives me 5.5 inches. And then when I put the other 2x6 on this side, we're gonna have 7 inches overall. So that's our 7 inch. I got my 2x6 on this side ready to go. I nailed this strip of pack out already onto the 2x4. You can see it right here on here. So they were originally stakes, about 1/2 inch overall thickness, nailed to the 2x4, and that's going to give us our 4 inches. So what we're going to do is we want to make sure this is the top of the concrete, which is sitting on the table. So see how this 2x6 is all messed up and it's got a nasty edge? You want to make sure that that's not up against your concrete because the concrete's going to want to form to that, and it's just going to make your life a lot harder while you're trying to clean up your edges. So what we're going to do is turn this sideways. I already got a nail in there. We're going to turn it sideways to make sure that this 2x4 is sitting flush with the top of the 2x6. I got myself an impact nailer right here. It's hooked up to a small air compressor. It's all you need. We're putting in as few nails as possible because these are potentially going to have to get cut out. So what I'm doing is I'm also marking where each nail goes, both on the top and the bottom of the 2x6. So when I go through with the Sawzall, I can pop out one 2x4 at a time and then pry the 2x6s in. So let's show you how that process goes. It won't take long. And again, there's multiple ways to do it, but this is the way I'm choosing to do it to get my 7 inches. Okay, so let's grab out that end and we're going to flip it over. Okay. Now you can't see it, but here, stand it up. So this is how the form's gonna look when we're done. This is gonna be the top. This has got a nice edge on the 2x6. Our goal is to nail this 2x6 into the 2x4, but we wanna make sure that it's not all wavy and it's a nice square block. So it's pretty much there. We're just gonna tap it a little bit as we go down the line with the hammer, if I even have to. Okay, so this is good here. This is good. Grab the hammer. Make sure you always have safety glasses on when you're doing this type of work. Okay, so we're gonna go right on the edge. I don't want to split this 2x6. I want to come right in, and I don't want it to come out on the other side, so you just got to make sure you take your time, you line it up right, and I'm looking to shoot it right into the center of the 2x4. So that gives me 1.5 inches of play. So I'm coming down 3/4 of an inch and trying to shoot in there. Okay, it's all lined up pretty nice. So I'm just going every few feet. Whatever I think is gonna hold this. This one's gotta go down a little bit, so you just take your hammer. There. Okay, so that part's done. We're gonna flip it back over. We're gonna use a 2x4 spacer because it just works out for us. You don't have to use a continuous piece, but I found it easier to use a continuous piece. That way we could just push it right out. Then I could just stick something right in here, push it out, and get it through. Okay. So we're lining this up. We're holding one edge because the lumber's not always perfect. We have ourselves some clamps. So we're gonna start on the edge and we're gonna clamp it together. That's allowing this 2x4 to compress against this 2x6, creating a nice solid surface. Because if I start getting air gaps in there when I'm nailing, no longer are we gonna have a true 7-inch. Okay. Okay, pretty solid. Everything look good?
Yeah, what's the next step? Don't we have to put this on this side?
No, we're gonna nail the 2x6. Then we're gonna pop out the filler. So once I nail this 2x6 to this 2x4, that'll be secured for this one side. Then we'll lay it sideways, we'll pop out our filler piece, and then we're gonna lay our 2x6 on the other side. Okay? All right, we'll take our clamps off. Okay, now what we do is we're just gonna reach in here. We're gonna grab our spacer. Lay it down here. Now we have a gap. If you can see inside there, I know it's bright out, which is great for us. We don't have many days left before the concrete pour. So I hope you can see there's just a gap here. If you want to leave it full, leave it full. It's just a lot heavier. That also allows you to be able to stick your hand in here and be able to lift up once this thing's built, because it's gonna weigh a lot. These are pressure treated 2x6s. If you could tell by the green color, you do not need pressure treated lumber at this stage. But because I was buying it anyway for this, once I strip these forms out, I'm gonna repurpose the lumber, so that's why it's green lumber. So this is now gonna be going right on top. This is our 2x6. And now this is the top of the form, so we have to make sure that this is got a nice edge. You got a nice edge on your side?
This side's better.
That side's better?
At my end, I don't know about yours.
Yeah, if we rotate it, it'll be. All the way, go that way. So you got to work with the lumber they provide you at the lumber company. I didn't go to no Home Depot, I went to an actual lumber store. So you're getting somewhat straight wood, which makes this a little bit easier, but we got to work it and tweak it as we go. So the most important part is that this corner is the nicest corner of all four sides, because this is the top of the forms and concrete will come on this side. They're going to use this edge to screed the concrete. They're going to also run their trowels on this and their corners, so that way they can get a nice smooth finish. Make sure you push the rock in. Okay, so I don't want any waves, I don't want any bark sides. We're flush on one end. That's gonna leave us a small gap on this side so we can drive a couple stakes in there. I'm also gonna use a drill later and drill right through these 2x4s. So you get at least a 6-8 inch bit. We're gonna drill through the 2x4s, and I could put a stake right in that opening. And if I put a couple of them along the way, I don't have to worry about it pushing the concrete, which these things are so solid. I only need a couple of them. So that's why going overkill once saves you a lot of work later, okay? So we're gonna start on this side and we're gonna tweak the lumber as we go. So once I get flush, I put a starting nail. Now it's his job on the other end to use the leverage of the 16-foot board. So he's gonna go out, which is gonna allow this to flush up a little bit more. Perfect. Okay, now that kind of straightened me out right here, but you can see it's tweaked on that end. So as we work our way down, he's gonna come back, go back that way a little bit more, a little bit more. Okay. A little this way. Good. Okay. So that's where we're at. Now this is complete once I now nail the back side in. So the front side, the top is good. And then we're gonna, you have now an inch gap on the bottom. So when I do the nails coming here, you're not 3/4 of an inch off. You're gonna be the whole inch plus the 3/4. So you gotta make sure you're not missing all your nails. Now we took that filler piece out, so at least we can't nail that. And he's there to tell me if in case I missed the board, put another nail in. Oh, one more nail. Okay, so this is complete now. All right, so just so you know what you're looking at, this is a 16-foot long 2x6. If we stand it up, okay, so this is now the top of concrete. Okay, so concrete will come on both this side and this side. I chose the offset of 6 foot because of the size of my pour, but you can split it up however you want. I'm gonna leave, this is 7 inches, so at 6, this is the edge of the concrete, and concrete will go from here to the pool. Okay, so that's gonna be 5 foot 5 inches of concrete on that side, which will work with my 5 foot by 10 foot mesh, leaving me 2 inches of play on each side. 2.5, but as long as you got 2 inches, you're good. Okay, so then I have my 7-inch block, and then concrete will come on this side, and I could show you that around the pool, and I briefly showed you that in a couple other videos. This is just to show you how I built them, because it's a little hard when you're looking down at the top. Now there's no divot up at the top. This is smooth, so if concrete came on it, they could just run their tools right on top. They could scrape the concrete off when they're done. It's very smooth for the most part, okay? So on the bottom side is where we left a little bit of gap. Now let's turn it real quick so you can see the final product on the bottom. Okay, so now there's this gap on the bottom because we only did a 2x4, 2x4 space, another 2x4, that's 6 inches, or 4.5 inches. And this is 5.5, so you have this inch gap. So when I'm setting this on top of the 3/4 inch stone over there, I don't have to worry about setting the whole 7-inch block and leveling that. If it's a little unlevel here and there, it's easier for me to tap this down with a hammer and get this to grade, throw a shim underneath it if I had to. What's that?
Even vibrate it.
Yeah, we could get it down, shake it, so the stone settles. A little bit of stone could go under here. So it's a little bit easier for us on that aspect. Okay, and I don't have to worry about concrete coming under here. In addition, when we're marking our lines, because here's a nail, so I'll flip it over. I'm putting B's on the top of the 2x6 for the bottom nails, and I'm just putting 1 line for the top nails. So when I come through to strip these out, I'm gonna use a Sawzall between the 2x6 and the 2x4, and I know exactly where these nails are, so I don't have to go whole 16 feet with the Sawzall. I could just plunge cut right through here and then chop this nail. Once my nails are cut, the 2x4 on the top comes out. Now when I'm doing the bottom ones, if this was all the way touching the stone, I'd have to be cutting through the stone to get to these nails. This gives me a little bit of play. I'll still be hitting the stone. It's not a big deal, but it also just a little bit more relief. So that's one way. So now let's slide this back to you. We'll mark the nail holes up at the top. It only takes a minute, but it's gonna save ourselves a lot of time. Okay, so here I got 2 nails, double line, bottom nail, line with a B, bottom B, 1 line for the top, bottom B, line, line, line with a B, line, line, and my line for the B is already part of the B. So then the top nail, B, top, B, top. And then I do the same thing on the other side. So this little bit of time is just gonna save me a bunch of time when I'm trying to get this out. Because there's gonna be pressure on this from the concrete pushing against there, which is why I'm putting an expansion joint material on the side. My intent is to actually cut the expansion joint material with the Sawzall, chew that up, and then let that come out. And that'll allow me to actually have a little bit more space when I'm cutting these apart, or pry the whole thing out and lift it right out. So it's not gonna be that easy, but the expansion joint is definitely gonna help. I had to get fiber board, which doesn't cut that easy. So if you're gonna do this, I would look for the rigid foam material, because then you could just use a Sawzall and just cut out the foam pretty easy. That'll give you enough play. Okay, so now we're just going to carry this over there and get ready to set it. So thanks for watching, guys. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments down below. Okay, if you have a better way of doing it, please let me know. You could also just stake a 2x6 on both sides, but that allows a lot of warping. I need a straight line, so this is why I went with this. But please, I'm always looking to learn something new. Let some of our viewers find out maybe a potential way of doing it, but this is how we're doing it to get the proper spacing around the pool. And I hope you like it, so please like and subscribe. There's many more, and remember, concrete's coming Thursday, so I got 70 yards of concrete coming. We got 7 masons. I got a pump truck gonna be setting up right here. Concrete's on order, truck's on order, masons are coming. We're hoping for a beautiful day, so we're gonna concentrate on the greenhouse and the back section of the pool. I have Saturday reserved for any completion pours, so stay tuned, and I hope to see you there. Thanks, guys.